How's it going, everyone? Welcome back. Hope everyone is having a lovely day. So the Cincinnati Bengals going to be out there searching for an offensive coordinator and more than likely a quarterbacks coach here in the future, with all the interest in Dan Pitcher if he doesn't stay with the Cincinnati Bengals, because Brian Callahan is now out the door, signed the head coaching job with the Carolina Panthers. And really, he really deserved this one. He earned an opportunity here because of, Joe Burrow goes down. The Bengals season should have been over, it felt like. The air taken out of the lungs of everyone in Cincinnati. And somehow they are fighting for a playoff spot. 2 games left in the season. They finish the season with a winning record because Jake Browning comes in and looks like he's been doing this for a long time in the NFL. Jake Browning, a guy that was, not a lot of confidence. You got to be honest. I'll be honest about them receipts that a lot of Bengals fans weren't too happy about Jake Browning being the only Bengals backup quarterback entering the season. And boy, did the Bengals coaching staff coach this guy up, and boy, did this Bengals coaching staff have this offense perform with Jake Browning. That being said, teams across the league seen that and said, all right, Brian, we like what you did in Cincinnati. Let's see what you got. And now the Bengals have this question of, do they hire in-house? Did they try to hire somebody that, Zach Taylor's got some ties with? Did they go completely new look? And as far as the in-house goes, what's always challenging about this is because I know there's a lot of back and forth in coaches in general, because we just don't know what's happening. Everything's so week to week in the NFL. 1 week, and especially with Brian Callahan, it's like 1 week loved him, 1 week hated him. Especially when Joe Burrow was quarterback, where it seemed like things stuck out a little bit more and it didn't go well. But, you remember this Bengals offense. We have to remember this. In the last couple of years, one of the more notorious things that it would do is completely stall out, completely disappear. Start games slow. There was very rarely did we see the Bengals play a full 60 minutes of football offensively. They just straight dominated the team. And that was always my biggest pet peeve, my concern. It felt like sometimes they weren't game plan and prepared offensively when teams came in, especially the division. When teams came in with a game plan to stop what they wanted to do, they never had that counter punch. So for me, it's like, all right, see you later, Brian Callahan. That was kind of my perspective there, because we've seen it time and time again. The really, really good coaches, what they do is they counter the counter. What we've seen with Lou do until the defense kind of struggled this year is like when they figure out a way to defeat this defense, he came up with a completely different scheme, a completely different game plan to beat these teams. I don't feel like we've seen that much with the Bengals offense. And then that's where, Dan Pitcher comes in. Your question is, you don't really know. There's a lot of uncertainty of how much he was behind that with the quarterbacking coach job. Like, let's just get rid of the ball football quickly. How much was he really the winning factor? You got to call it as it is. Again, Jake Browning comes in, did not look the greatest in the preseason. Granted, he was playing with number 2s, number 3s. Didn't look the greatest in the preseason, but this man comes in here and just balls out by all things considered. And again, coaching has to be accredited. Callahan, Pitcher as the quarterback's coach, excellent jobs. And there's no question about it. Pitcher has earned himself an offensive coordinator job the way he coached this season completely. My question is, do the Bengals believe in this guy? Does he want to be with the Bengals? A lot of teams around the league interested in him. I would completely be open to it. I'd be completely open to saying, let's give Pitcher a chance. My big thing is I'd really like to see with this Bengals offensive coordinator, I'd like to see fresh ideas. I can't get past the fact that, when they start to play the AFC North, they get stifled. Their offense can't figure things out. These teams have them figured out. I like to see a fresh face with fresh ideas, kind of try to figure out ways to beat these defenses, because they should be with a quarterback like Joe Burrow. I understand they're great defense, but Joe Burrow and this team should be able to, dissect these teams. And now Dan Pitcher could have a lot of ideas. That's something. See, the thing is, we kind of speculate on other coaching roles. We don't know what these guys do behind the scenes. And Dan Pitcher could be a mastermind back there, or he could have a very limited role in the team as a quarterback's coach. We never know. Zach Taylor knows, and Zach Taylor would certainly be talking to him from a completely probably could not even be true resource, because I've seen it nowhere. I've not really seen it anywhere, but there were some swirlings around that. Pitcher wants to call plays, and that might not be why he wants to be in Cincinnati. But again, complete rumors. I haven't seen that accredited anywhere. If they have, lead me in that direction. But there's always Pitcher, good candidate, like the idea there. We expressed their concerns, but we don't know anything about Pitcher in that regard. If any of that's regarding him, how much of that was in system, how much of that was Callahan. Besides that, I think my favorite idea is, and it always has been, go somewhere. And this is what Mike Brown did well. He went somewhere on a really successful football team with a young coach that hasn't had a chance to shine in the limelight. He gave them that opportunity. We're talking about quarterback coach for the Los Angeles Rams during some of their best years offensively with Jared Goff and company, Zach Taylor. I love that approach. Now, obviously, there's some growing pains, some adapting because they haven't been there before. But, I heard some Joe Brady rumors like, 2 years in Carolina and their offense was not good at all. Comes to Buffalo, it does help them figure things out down the stretch, but I'm always a little leery when you got, Josh Allen and company over there. I'd like to go to a place where, you go to these places. Detroit, again, is where I think here. Mike Brunell. Jared Goff out the door in Los Angeles. They just wanted to get rid of this guy. They said, let's move on. Detroit said, you're a stopgap. We ain't planning to have a lot of success with you. So we're going to get some good draft picks. Probably draft the quarterback. And look at this guy fighting for a spot in a Super Bowl right now, playing some of the best ball he has of his career. Quarterback coach, Mike Brunell. I like it. Now, very dynamic offense. They spread the football around well. They mix it up well. That's the guy that I want to see as my offensive coordinator. Guys that come around, take the less teams and create more, opposed to, and you never know, opposed to like the teams, the Josh Allens and the Mahomes of the world. Of course, they can be excellent offensive coordinators, but when you have an excellent quarterback, there's more uncertainty opposed to somebody that's like, oh, we just took him from down here and brought him up here. That wasn't up here and kept him up here. And Brunell's been a perfect example of that. And then there's the long shot. I mean, there's a better chance you get the hole in one. Way better chance. And Tom Clements, Green Bay Packers, quarterbacks coach for, Rodgers. He's been in the organization with Rodgers, Brett Favre, now Jordan Love. You watch the progression of Jordan Love this season. I mean, there was a lot of questions about him at the beginning of the year. And all of a sudden, he's playing phenomenal football at the end of the season. He was coaching Kyler Murray those first couple years in Arizona where Murray won Rookie of the Year. He was excellent in his second year as well. And then it's like, what happened to Kyler Murray? I mean, there's no question about it. This guy's got the resume of all resumes when it comes to coaching quarterbacks. And you imagine him coaching Joe Burrow and this offense as that'd be ridiculously good. That'd probably be a slam dunk home run if it was one out there. But he's 71. He came out of retirement to come back to Green Bay. I just don't imagine it could happen. I think he spent so much time in Green Bay. That's kind of where he settled down at. It'd take a lot for him to leave that position. But hey, we can dream. We can dream, right? And then there's, the guys you look at and say, oh, well, there's guys Zach Taylor's got connections with, whether he coached with them or coached them or played with them, whatever in the past. Guys like Jake Peetz was, an offensive analyst for Bama. There are a lot of offensive analyst kind of jobs, coaching jobs in his career, but he's an offensive analyst in Bama. He did spend a little bit of time at LSU. He was the 2022. He was over there with Carolina, or not 2022, but 2020. He was over in Carolina with the Panthers. One of their better offensive seasons we've seen in recent history, where the couple 1,000-yard receivers. CMC was one of the best running back seasons you'll ever see. They was playing some good ball. Teddy Bridgewater was complete near 70% of his passes. Now, granted, he was just running backs coach, but again, you look what Christian McCaffrey did that season going off. He was in Oakland with Derek Carr for 2 of Derek Carr's 3 Pro Bowl selections. Probably one of the more interesting ones that are statistics you come across the board. Does he become a candidate for Zach Taylor and come to? We don't know. We're gonna find out. You gotta trust we gotta really trust in Zach Taylor, because you gotta remember back in the day, that skepticism. He brought in Brian Callahan, Lou Anarumo. That was the looks. Like, and people were saying, well, that's all he can get because he's a new coach. And flash forward, it's looked like some really good acquisitions by Zach Taylor. So you got to believe, down the road. I mean, this guy's got an eye for some talent, especially on the offensive side, but he's got some eye for some talent in the coaching staff department too. And you got to trust in Zach Taylor here in this offseason, but believe he's going to find the best possible candidates. And it's also more important too to remember, you're not just looking for guys that coach the players at the best of their ability, which is important. But you also want guys that fit your scheme, fit you what you want to do well. For the most part, and Zach Taylor, he's not afraid to do some adapting. which it is good. It's kind of good to have those different perspectives in there, but you want to make sure you guys are clicking on the same cylinder. You're not bickering back and forth to get completely different ideas where you want the direction of the football team to go as well. So we will see. As always, would love the y'all's thoughts. Thank y'all for watching. We'll see you next time.